Welcome back in Alive Now. I'm Austin Westfall, a live look at the White House, where it's just past 10:30 in the nation's capital. All right, let's get the latest on Epstein, the situation that continues to unfold. We do know that the Wall Street Journal released some exclusive reporting today, and President Trump responding to that reporting with this on Truth Social. He says the Wall Street Journal and Rupert Murdoch personally were warned directly by President Donald J. Trump that the supposed letter they printed by President Trump to Epstein was a fake. And if they print it, they'll be sued.
Okay, so Trump has been insisting for years that Trump never did anything wrong. Trump says Trump declassified everything. Trump says Trump never kept classified documents. Trump says Trump had nothing to do with trying to overturn the 2020 election. Trump says Trump won. Trump says everything was perfectly legal. Trump says Trump is completely innocent. But then judges started releasing recordings. Judges started releasing documents. Judges started releasing transcripts. And those recordings and documents and transcripts show Trump saying something completely different. Those recordings show Trump admitting that Trump couldn't declassify documents. Those documents show Trump trying to overturn the election. Those transcripts show Trump telling people to find votes. Those recordings show Trump talking about classified military plans. Those documents show Trump knew he lost, and Trump is absolutely blindsided by this. Trump didn't expect these recordings and documents to go public. Trump tried to stop them, but judges ruled that the public had a right to see Trump's own words. Judges ordered the release anyway, and now Trump is exposed. But before we go any further, real quick, let's be honest, you can't really trust mainstream media anymore. That's why we built Pump Politics to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate spin. If you want to stay ahead of the headlines, join our free newsletter. We'll send the news straight to your inbox every day. Just click the link in the description to join. And if you just want to support what we're doing, join us, be part of the community that actually cares about the truth. All right, let's get back to the video.
It says something or takes something out of context, or maybe not even Trump, but somebody else, high profile. And so that could be sort of the spring trap in all of this, is if there's even one mention of a high profile name or politician or, a banker or celebrity, things like that, it's going to spark an uproar because everyone's going to just be finger pointing at that. But it likely won't have all the context that people need, and especially won't have the context to bring an indictment, because we would have already seen one by now if that information was anything to present, culpable evidence or things like that.
Galen Deese is with the Washington Examiner. We appreciate the insight. It'll be fascinating to see how tomorrow plays out. We'll talk with you soon.
Here's what happened. There's a recording from July 2021. Trump is at his Bedminster Golf Club in New Jersey. Trump is in a social setting. Trump is talking to people. And Trump pulls out what Trump says is a highly confidential Pentagon document. Trump talks about military plans to attack Iran. Trump discusses this classified information in front of people who don't have security clearances. Trump admits on the recording that as president, Trump could have declassified it. But Trump also says, now I can't declassify it. Those are Trump's exact words. Trump is admitting on tape that the documents were classified. Trump is admitting that Trump doesn't have the power to declassify them now. Trump is directly contradicting everything Trump has said publicly. And then you've got Judge Tanya Chutkan. Judge Chutkan was handling the election interference case. Judge Chutkan had evidence, lots of evidence, nearly 1,900 pages of evidence, transcripts of phone calls, documents, internal memos, everything that Special Counsel Jack Smith had gathered. Trump begged Judge Chutkan to keep that evidence secret. Trump said releasing it would be election interference. Trump said releasing it would interfere with the 2024 election. Trump said judges shouldn't let the evidence go public. But Judge Chutkan said no. Judge Chutkan said the public has a right to know what happened. Judge Chutkan says she's releasing the evidence. And on October 18, 2024, Judge Chutkan ordered the release. Thousands of pages of evidence went public, and all of it was damaging to Trump. All of it showed Trump doing exactly what Trump says Trump never did. And then in January 2025, Jack Smith released his final report. Smith wrote that he had enough evidence to convict Trump. Smith said the evidence was sufficient to get a conviction. Smith said he could have proven his case, but because Trump is president, because DOJ policy says you can't prosecute a sitting president, Smith couldn't bring the case. But Smith documented in his official report that the evidence was there. The evidence was overwhelming. Trump would have been convicted, and that report and all the evidence is now public. Trump can't hide from it. Trump can't deny it. Trump has to live with the fact that judges have released Trump's own words proving that Trump is guilty. Come on, this is absolutely massive. Trump is blindsided. Trump is panicked. Trump is furious. Trump's whole defense is built on lying. Trump's whole defense is saying Trump did nothing wrong. But judges have released Trump's own voice. Judges have released Trump's own words. Judges have released documents signed by Trump. And those recordings and documents prove that Trump is lying. Trump is exposed. Capitol Hill is exploding. Media is covering it. Trump's legal position is destroyed. Trump's credibility is destroyed. And Trump can't stop it because it's already out there. Okay, let me walk you through exactly what's on these recordings and in these documents because you need to understand the specific evidence that's been released and how damaging it is for Trump. Let's start with the Bedminster tape because that one is absolutely devastating for Trump's classified documents defense. It's July 2021. Trump is no longer president. Trump has left office months earlier. Trump is at Trump's Bedminster Golf Club. Trump is in a social setting. There are people around. These are not government officials. These are not people with security clearances. These are just people at Trump's golf club. And Trump pulls out a document. Trump tells people this is a highly confidential Pentagon plan. Trump is discussing military plans. Trump is discussing military strategy. Trump is describing classified information. And then Trump says something incredible. Trump says, as president, I could have declassified it. Trump is literally admitting that the document is classified. Trump is admitting that it would normally require declassification. Trump is admitting that there is a declassification process. And then Trump says, but now I can't declassify it. Trump is saying that Trump doesn't have the power to declassify anything now that Trump is no longer president. Now think about what that means for Trump's defense. Trump has been saying that Trump declassified everything. Trump has been saying that as president, Trump automatically declassified all the documents. Trump has been saying that Trump had the power to declassify anything Trump wanted. But this tape shows Trump admitting the opposite. This tape shows Trump acknowledging that declassification is a process. This tape shows Trump acknowledging that Trump doesn't have declassification power now. This tape completely undermines Trump's entire defense. And it's Trump's own voice. It's not someone claiming Trump said something. It's not someone quoting Trump. It's an actual recording of Trump. People can hear Trump say it. People can hear Trump admit it. People can listen to Trump's voice saying, as president, I could have declassified it. That's incredibly powerful evidence. That's Trump in Trump's own words, admitting something that contradicts Trump's public statements. That's absolutely devastating. And the tape also shows Trump displaying the document to people who don't have security clearances. Trump is showing classified military plans to people at a golf club. Trump is discussing the contents with these people. Trump is not keeping the document secure. Trump is not following proper procedures for handling classified information. Trump is just casually discussing classified military plans at a social gathering. That's exactly the kind of conduct that the classified document statute is designed to prevent. Now let's talk about the election evidence that Judge Chuck Kahn released. In October 2024, Judge Chuck Kahn unsealed nearly 1,900 pages of evidence. This is evidence that Jack Smith had gathered in his investigation. This is evidence of Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election, and the evidence is devastating. The evidence includes transcripts of Trump's phone call with Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. Trump told Raffensperger to find votes. Trump said, find me 11,780 votes. Trump knew Trump had lost Georgia. Trump knew Trump was behind in the vote count. Trump asked Raffensperger to falsify the results. Trump asked Raffensperger to say votes were found when no votes were found. That's election fraud. That's trying to overturn an election, and it's all documented. The released documents also include fake elector certificates. These were certificates claiming that Trump electors had been selected in states Trump lost. But they were fake. The electors were not actually selected. The certificates were false. But Trump's team created them and submitted them to Congress. They were trying to create a false record that would allow Congress to reject the legitimate electors and accept the fake ones. It's incredibly dishonest. It's incredibly illegal. And it's all documented in the released evidence. The documents also include internal campaign memos. These are memos that Trump's campaign wrote discussing the strategy to overturn the election. The memos show that people in Trump's campaign knew that Trump lost. The memos show that people were discussing how to challenge the election despite knowing that Trump lost. The memos show that this was a deliberate strategy. This was not a good faith disagreement about election results. This was a coordinated effort to overturn an election that Trump knew Trump lost. And the evidence includes interview transcripts. These are interviews that Smith conducted with witnesses. These are people who were in Trump's inner circle. These are people who know what happened. And they admitted to investigators that Trump knew he lost. They admitted that Trump was pushing them to overturn the election anyway. They admitted that Trump was asking them to do illegal things. All of this is documented in the released evidence. Now here's what's important about Judge Chuck Kahn ordering this release. Trump asked Judge Chuck Kahn to keep the evidence secret. Trump said that releasing the evidence during early voting would interfere with the 2024 election. Trump's lawyers said the court should delay the release until after the election. Trump's lawyers said that any release during early voting would be unfair to Trump, but Judge Chuck Kahn disagreed. Judge Chuck Kahn said the public has a right to know what happened. Judge Chuck Kahn said the court cannot withhold evidence the public has a right to see. Judge Chuck Kahn said the release would not be asymmetric because Trump could also file his own materials. And Judge Chuck Kahn released the evidence anyway. That was a powerful moment. That was Judge Chuck Kahn saying that transparency matters more than protecting Trump from political damage. That was Judge Chuck Kahn saying that the public's right to know outweighs Trump's desire to keep the evidence secret. That was Judge Chuck Kahn refusing to help Trump hide evidence, and it set off a political firestorm. The evidence was released. It went into the public domain. Everyone could see it. Everyone could read it. Everyone could hear Trump's own words. Now let's talk about Jack Smith's final report. In January 2025, Smith released his final report. Smith was supposed to be investigating Trump for potentially committing crimes related to the classified documents and the effort to overturn the election. But when Trump won the 2024 election, when Trump became president again, the Justice Department issued guidance that the president cannot be prosecuted while in office. So Smith closed his investigations. Smith shut down his office. Smith filed his final report explaining what happened, and in that report, Smith wrote something incredibly important. Smith wrote that the evidence was sufficient to obtain and sustain a conviction. Smith was saying that if Trump had been prosecuted, if a jury had heard the evidence, a jury would have convicted Trump. Smith was saying that Trump is guilty. Smith was saying that the evidence proves Trump committed crimes, but because of DOJ policy, because Trump is president, Smith couldn't bring the case. So Smith documented in his official report that Trump committed crimes. Smith put it in writing. Smith made it part of the official record, and that report is now public. Okay, let me break this down into the 3 main points that matter about these explosive recordings and documents, because this is important for understanding what's been released and how damaging it is. First point, and this is documented in audio recordings, in July 2021, at his Bedminster Golf Club, Trump was recorded discussing what Trump called a highly confidential Pentagon military plan to attack Iran, displaying what appeared to be a classified document to people without security clearances, and explicitly stating on tape, as president, I could have declassified it, but now I can't, directly contradicting Trump's public claims that all documents at Mar-a-Lago were automatically declassified and that Trump had unrestricted declassification authority. This is Trump's own voice. This is Trump admitting on tape that the documents were classified. Second point, and this is equally devastating. In October 2024, Judge Tanya Chutkan overruled Trump's objections and ordered the unsealing of nearly 900 pages of evidence from special counsel Jack Smith's election interference investigation, including transcripts of Trump's call demanding that Georgia officials find votes, fake elector certificates, internal campaign memos showing Trump knew he lost, and witness interview transcripts in which Trump's associates admitted Trump knew he lost and was pushing them to overturn the election anyway. All of this evidence is now public. All of this shows Trump doing exactly what Trump claims Trump never did. Third point, and this is the legal bottom line. In his January 2025 final report, special counsel Jack Smith documented that the evidence in his investigation would have been sufficient to obtain and sustain a conviction on the classified documents, charges, and the election interference charges. Had Trump not been a sitting president at the time, charges would have been brought, meaning that while prosecutions are paused due to DOJ policy, the official record now contains Smith's explicit assessment that Trump is guilty of the crimes under investigation. So Smith is saying Trump is guilty. Smith put it in his official report. The evidence is overwhelming, and that report is now part of the public record. Now let's talk about what this means for Trump's position and for the broader political situation. Trump has been claiming innocence. Trump has been insisting that Trump did nothing wrong. Trump has been telling his supporters that Trump is being persecuted. Trump has been saying that the investigations are witch hunts. But now the evidence is public. Now people can see for themselves. Now people can read the transcripts. Now people can listen to the Bedminster tape. And the evidence proves that Trump is lying. Think about what it means that Trump's own voice is on tape, admitting that documents are classified. Think about what it means that Trump is recorded discussing classified military plans. Think about what it means that there's a document showing Trump asking Georgia officials to find votes. Think about what it means that there are memos showing Trump knew he lost. All of this is Trump's own words. All of this is Trump's own handwriting. All of this is Trump's own actions. Trump can't deny it. Trump can't claim it's fake. Trump can't claim it's being taken out of context. It's all right there in the public record. And this evidence is going to be used against Trump. This evidence is going to be used in impeachment discussions. This evidence is going to be cited in impeachment articles. This evidence is going to be used by prosecutors if Trump ever faces criminal charges again. This evidence is going to be used by historians. This evidence is going to be used by voters in future elections. This evidence is going to follow Trump forever. Trump can't escape it. Trump can't get rid of it. It's permanent. It's in the public record. It's in the official files. It's part of history. Think about what this does to Trump's credibility. Think about Trump going on television and saying Trump did nothing wrong while everyone knows about the Bedminster tape. Think about Trump insisting Trump didn't try to overturn the election while everyone has read the transcripts of Trump's call to Raffensperger. Think about Trump claiming Trump is being persecuted while everyone has seen the evidence that proves Trump is guilty. Trump's credibility is destroyed. Trump can't convince anyone that Trump is innocent anymore. And here's what's important about the timing. This evidence was released in October 2024, right before the election. This evidence went public when Trump was running for president. This evidence was available for voters to see before they voted. Voters saw the evidence. Voters saw Trump's own words. Voters saw Trump's own voice. And voters elected Trump anyway. Trump won the election despite the evidence. Trump won because his supporters didn't care about the evidence. Trump won because his supporters trusted Trump more than they trusted the evidence. But that doesn't change the fact that the evidence exists. That doesn't change the fact that the evidence is damaging. That doesn't change the fact that the evidence proves Trump is guilty. Trump being elected doesn't erase the evidence. Trump being president doesn't make the evidence go away. The evidence is still there. The evidence still shows that Trump committed crimes. The evidence still shows that Trump lied. And the evidence is going to be used against Trump. Now let's talk about what happens next. What happens when Trump leaves office? What happens when Trump is no longer president? What happens when DOJ policy no longer protects Trump from prosecution? Prosecutors are going to look at this evidence. Prosecutors are going to read Smith's report. Prosecutors are going to see that Smith concluded Trump is guilty. And prosecutors are going to consider whether to prosecute Trump. Prosecutors might decide to bring charges. Prosecutors might decide to indict Trump. Prosecutors might decide to put Trump on trial. And if that happens, all of this evidence is going to be used against Trump. Judges are not going to let Trump hide the evidence anymore. Judges are going to allow prosecutors to use everything that's already been released. And that's a nightmare scenario for Trump. That's Trump being prosecuted based on evidence that's already been released. That's Trump having to defend against evidence that's already in the public domain. That's Trump having to convince a jury to ignore Trump's own voice. That's Trump having to convince a jury to ignore Trump's own voice. That's Trump having to convince a jury that Trump is innocent despite overwhelming evidence of guilt. That's an incredibly difficult position for Trump to be in. Think about a trial where the jury has already heard Trump say as president, "I could have declassified it, but now I can't." Think about a trial where the jury has already read Trump's call to Raffensperger saying, "Find me votes." Think about a trial where the jury has already seen the fake elector documents. Think about a trial where the jury has already heard Trump's associates testify that Trump knew he lost. What defense does Trump have? How does Trump convince a jury that Trump is innocent when all of this evidence is right there? The evidence is overwhelming. The evidence is clear. The evidence is public. Trump is going to lose any trial based on this evidence. Here's why this matters for everyone watching this right now. This is about accountability. This is about whether powerful people can lie and get away with it. This is about whether the truth matters. This is about whether evidence matters. This is about whether anyone is above the law. And right now, the evidence is public. The evidence is undeniable. The evidence proves that Trump committed crimes. And the question is whether Trump is going to be held accountable. So to bring it all together, the Bedminster tape recorded in July 2021 captures Trump discussing classified military plans and admitting on tape that as president, I could have declassified it, but now I can't, directly contradicting his public claims about automatic declassification. In October 2024, Judge Tanya Chutkan released nearly 1,900 pages of evidence, including transcripts of Trump's demands to find votes in Georgia, fake elector certificates, campaign memos showing Trump knew he lost, and witness testimony that Trump knew he was trying to overturn an election he lost. In January 2025, Jack Smith issued his final report, concluding that the evidence was sufficient to obtain and sustain a conviction on both the classified documents charges and the election interference charges. All of this evidence is now public, and Trump cannot escape it. This is Trump blindsided by Trump's own words. This is Trump exposed by Trump's own voice. This is Trump condemned by Trump's own actions. Trump tried to hide the evidence. Trump tried to keep it secret. Trump tried to claim it would interfere with the election, but judges said no. Judges released the evidence anyway. Judges said the public has a right to know, and now the evidence is public. Now Trump has to live with it. Now Trump has to defend against it. Now Trump is exposed. Think about what this means for Trump's future. Think about Trump being prosecuted based on this evidence. Think about juries hearing Trump's own voice. Think about judges allowing this evidence into court. Think about Trump being convicted based on evidence that's already been released. Think about Trump going to prison. That's the scenario. That's what the evidence supports. That's what Jack Smith concluded. That's what judges have allowed into the public record. And here's what's important about the permanence of this. The evidence doesn't go away. The recordings don't get deleted. The documents don't get destroyed. The transcripts don't disappear. This is all permanent. This is all part of the public record. This is all going to be available forever. Future prosecutors are going to use it. Future historians are going to use it. Future voters are going to use it. Trump cannot escape this evidence. Trump cannot hide from it. Trump cannot make it go away. It's out there. It's public. It's permanent. Stay tuned, because Trump's legal jeopardy is not over. Even though the criminal cases are paused, Trump is still facing civil lawsuits. Trump is still facing sanctions. Trump is still facing financial consequences. And all of this evidence is going to be used against Trump in those cases. Judges are going to refer to these recordings. Judges are going to cite these documents. Judges are going to point to the evidence that's now public. And judges are going to use that evidence to make decisions against Trump. And if Trump ever leaves office, if Trump is no longer protected by the fact that he's president, prosecutors are going to use this evidence. Prosecutors are going to bring charges. Prosecutors are going to go to trial. And the jury is going to hear all of this. The jury is going to listen to the Bedminster tape. The jury is going to read the transcripts of Trump's call to Raffensperger. The jury is going to see the documents. And the jury is going to convict Trump because the evidence is overwhelming. Because Trump's own words prove Trump is guilty. Because judges have released the evidence into the public domain and Trump cannot escape it. This is the real exposure. This is the real danger for Trump. Not the threat of impeachment or removal, but the threat of being prosecuted based on evidence that's already public. The threat of being convicted based on Trump's own voice and Trump's own words. The threat of going to prison because the evidence proves Trump committed crimes. That's what Trump is really facing. And that's what keeps Trump up at night.